Hello, Ms. Morales. My name is Duke Sherwood, and I am the co-counsel along with my colleague Sina Kiamehr, who will also be representing you. Your Aunt Rosa Morales requested us to represent you, and we intend to help you get out of this temporary detention. Now, Ms. Morales, are you comfortable with English or do you need an interpreter?
I'm okay with English. I understand English.
Thank you. Can we talk about your situation?
Yes.
When I finish my part of the questioning, my colleague Sina will ask you some questions, okay?
Okay.
Ms. Morales, in you being detained is nothing new. All persons seeking entry into Canada are subject to being examined. And if the officer has some doubts with your answers, he or she will refer you to secondary for further examination. So please try to relax as I ask you some brief questions. And if you have any doubts, please ask me to repeat or to clarify, okay?
Yeah.
I will ask you about your identification. What is your full name, date of birth, and which is your country of citizenship?
My name is Samantha Morales. My date of birth is 15th of March, 1979. And I am from Chile.
And to confirm your identification, you provided your passport and your birth certificate. You mentioned you're from Chile. And did you have a good flight to Canada?
Yes, it was okay. I was anxious.
Ms. Morales, are you married?
Yes.
Is your husband or your spouse employed?
Yes.
How many children do you have?
2.
The ages?
15 and 12 years old.
So both children are currently in school?
Yes, yes.
Ms. Morales, what is the purpose of your visit to Canada?
To see my mother. She's very ill, you know.
And how did you know she is ill and what is her illness?
My aunt, Rosa Morales, messaged me to come immediately as my mom is admitted to the Vancouver hospital and she is very sick. She has cancer.
I'm sorry. So on arrival, an officer began asking you some questions, including why you entered Vancouver and not Toronto.
Yes, he did, you know, and like I mentioned that I have come to visit my mother, see my mother, she's in the hospital. Earlier, I used to go to Toronto 2 times. I have come as a seasonal worker for landscaping work. And
As I mentioned in the beginning, that all people seeking entry to Canada, whether they are Canadians, registered Indians, foreign nationals, permanent residents, it can be examined at the port of entry, just as yourself. Tell me what happened.
Well, the officer was asking me again, like, you know, he checked my cell phone, he took my cell phone and he said that I am coming to Vancouver. Earlier, I was going to Toronto. I told them that I have come to work in Toronto 2 times earlier. And finishing my work, I have gone back to my country, Chile.
Ms. Morales, you spent a day at Immigration Holding Center. Did you rest well?
No, I'm worried and very anxious to see what, you know, what's going to happen to my mother. I need to meet her.
I'm sorry, Ms. Morales, and we will certainly do our best to get you out today so that you can see your mom, as she too must be waiting to see you. Thank you, and my colleague Sina will take over from here.
Good afternoon, Ms. Morales. My name is Sina Kiamehr, and I will be acting as your co-counsel alongside with Mr. Sherwood. We'll try to help you and figure out a way so you can enter Canada as soon as possible and visit your mother. We understand that you're under stress under the current situation, but you know, we'll try to figure out the details of the situation and get you quickly out of your detention right now. So Ms. Morales, will you be able to explain to me in details of what type of questions the custom officer asked you during the interview, so we can have a better understanding of the situation?
When I landed at the Vancouver International Airport from Chile, a border officer started to kind of ask me questions. I looked for I told him that I got messages from my aunt. Then he took my phone away and all my belongings. I was nervous and I wondered why they're doing this. But then he asked me, why have you come here? I told that I've come to see my mother. She's very ill and diagnosed with ovarian cancer 6 months ago. And now she's in the last stage. She's admitted in the Vancouver hospital. I do not know how much time she has to live. I'm waiting here since last night to go to her. He said, who is texting you? You want to apply for PR? You want to contact a lawyer? I told them I have come only because my aunt messaged me recently to come to see my mother, who is very ill. Now she's in ICU emergency. They said that I am lying to them, but I am not. Earlier, I came to Toronto as a seasonal landscape worker in spring and summer with a valid work paper, and then I returned to Chile.
We understand that can be frustrating, Ms. Morales. So you mentioned you found out about your mother's condition 6 months ago. Can you tell me why is it now that you decided to come? Is it because it's an emergency situation?
Yes, it is emergency. She was admitted in emergency. I knew 6 months ago, but now she's breathing her last probably. It is serious now. She's in ICU. My aunt messaged me, and that's why I rushed, leaving my children and husband back home.
Well, I hope she recovers soon and she gets better. Ms. Morales, can you further elaborate on the reasons the custom officer gave you that you're not allowed to enter Canada?
They say I'm lying. I will not go back to my country. That is not true. I have come before to Toronto 2 times to work. I have paper every time. And I leave when my time is up. And I come only in spring or summer for landscape work.
Right. So, Ms. Morales, do you know why your aunt was not able to come to the airport and did not answer your call before you were detained?
I do not know why. Maybe she was in the emergency ICU, or maybe she was driving. But I knew that she will come. She knows I'm here.
Great. And my final question, Ms. Morales, is that do you have any type of documents, information that you had brought with yourself that was in your belongings that could have kind of alarmed the custom officer that you have a different intention in this trip that you're coming?
No, but they took my cell phone. The officer kept looking at the messages from my aunt and read them to me 2-3 times, again and again. They took my cell phone and everything, even my passport.
Right. Thank you for that help, for answering our questions. Myself and Mr. Sherwood will put together the information and we will help you to get out of this situation within your first hearing, which is coming up within 48 hours. And now we turn it to Kamaljit to do the submission. Thank you. Ms. Morales.
So we have heard the testimony of the person concerned, Ms. Samantha Morales, today. Madam Member, we present to you our final submissions. Madam Member, all persons, whether they are Canadian citizens, registered Indians, PRs, TRV holders, or foreign nationals seeking entry into Canada are subject to an examination at a port of entry under Section 18(1) IRPA. In most cases, people will be subject to a brief examination by the CBSA officer. If that officer is not satisfied that the person should enter Canada or be allowed entry into Canada, will refer that person for more in-depth secondary examination. The purpose of a secondary examination is to confirm the identity, verify the travel documents, and gather information about that person's purpose of entering Canada. Madam Member, my client, Ms. Morales, is a citizen of Chile who arrived in Canada at the Vancouver airport on the 16th of December 2020 with a valid ETA and a valid passport. She testified today that the purpose of her visit is to see her mother, who is admitted in the intensive care unit of the South Vancouver Hospital. On arriving at the port of entry as per Section 55(3)(a) IRPA, she was questioned by the CBSA officer, who also took her cell phone, and all her belongings were confiscated by the other officers. She was then referred to a secondary examination, and then she was asked them the reason why for this questioning. Ms. Morales' documents, namely her valid passport, birth certificate, ETA, are presented as exhibits 1 to 3. Ms. Morales mentioned that she was informed by her mother's sickness by her maternal aunt, Ms. Rosa Morales. A letter from the South Vancouver Hospital is also provided as Exhibit 4. At the secondary examination, the acting superintendent, CBSA, confirms in a solemn declaration what transpired. In this Exhibit 5, the officer speaks about the purpose of visit and was informed about her mother's sickness, but the name and hospital details were not told to her by her aunt. She was to pick her up from the airport, but no one had come to pick her up, and she could not reach her aunt. And when allowed to make a call, she could not contact her. The WhatsApp message from her aunt read as, "Your mom is severely ill. Come as soon as possible." The officer scrolled above and read the messages from the aunt asking Samantha to come for PR and apply for PR as soon as possible. The text messages are provided and marked as Exhibit 6. The declaration also mentions Ms. Morales' previous visits to Canada on a work permit in Toronto. So she has always landed at Toronto Pearson Airport, and there was no reasonable reason for her visit to Vancouver this time. The officer doubted that she would return to Chile, and as he got an impression that Samantha was hiding something, being dishonest, and further Samantha refused to cooperate, so was detained. Ms. Morales was given another chance to call her aunt, and she advised her of her situation. Her aunt, Ms. Rosa Morales, got in touch with an immigration counsel and attested to an affidavit, which was provided as Exhibit 7, confirmed that she will be responsible for Samantha Morales, her niece. She was willing to be a bondsperson. Ms. Morales has provided a signed bondsperson information application marked as Exhibit 8, with additional documents such as a Canadian passport marked as Exhibit 9, her pay stub as Exhibit 10, a letter of reference from her employer, ABC Limited Retail Store, as Exhibit 11, to confirm her employment and salary of $70,000. And this is a full-time employment. Ms. Morales was not a person deemed to be inadmissible, and Section 33 of IRPA provides that the facts that constitute inadmissibility under Sections 34 to 37 include facts arising from omissions and unless otherwise provided, include facts for which there are reasonable grounds to believe that they have occurred, occurring, or may occur. None of this was present in the case of my client. There was no Section 44(1) or 2 ARPA report made against my client. The officer felt that Ms. Morales may not appear for further examination and hence detained her. This was the only purpose of her detention. She is not a flight risk under Regulation 245. She has always come legally and left Canada at the end of her authorized stay. Her aunt, being the bondsperson, confirmed that Samantha Morales will be available for any future or further examinations. Madam Member, the Minister's Council does not believe that she was telling the truth and would not go back to her home country. Here, I want to draw your attention to the federal court ruling, Wadix versus Canada, Minister of Citizenship and Immigration, 2005 FC 783. Adverse findings of credibility must be based on reasonably drawn inferences and not mere speculation. The Minister's Council is speculating on the basis of a 5-month-old text message of June 2020. My client received a message from her aunt on 10th of December 2020 and came as soon as possible to see her ailing mother on 16th of December 2020 to Vancouver. Even though having 2 intents, one for temporary residence and one for permanent residence, is legitimate, as per subsection 22(2) of the Immigration and Refugee Protection Act, that states that an intention by a foreign national to become a permanent resident does not preclude them from becoming a temporary resident if the officer is satisfied that they will leave Canada by the end of the period of authorized for the stay. It was not her intention. Her only intention was to temporarily stay to visit her ailing mother in ICU. Under the Immigration Division rules, evidence can be from witnesses, documents, and other material to prove or disapprove the existence of the alleged facts or to support an assertion. My client, Ms. Morales, has provided all relevant documents, her aunt as a witness, and other material in the form of a letter from the South Vancouver Hospital that her mother is admitted to the hospital through emergency services. As the reason for detention under Section 56(1) no longer exists, I ask for the relief that there is no need or justification to continue her detention, or that Ms. Morales be released with a cash bond as an alternate to detention. Again, an evidence can be tested, and as a result, reliable, credible oral testimony may be given more weight than documentary evidence, as in this case. In the decision by the Federal Court of Appeal in Maldonado versus MEI 1982 FC 302 CA, the court held that where a witness swears that certain facts are true, this creates a presumption that the facts are true unless there is a valid reason to doubt their truthfulness. As Ms. Morales' counsel, with our final submissions, we are requesting you to release my client so she can visit her mother during the last stages of her life. And Ms. Morales has provided testimony and documents to confirm her reasons in coming to Canada. These are submissions. Thank you.